For most of my life, I believed only in what I could see, touch, and prove. My name is Helen, and I have been a nurse for over a decade. Every day, I worked long hours in a hospital where life and death danced on the edge of a heartbeat. To me, death was simply the body shutting down, nothing more, nothing less. I had held the hands of the dying, watched monitors flatline, and comforted grieving families. But I never believed in anything beyond what my training had taught me. Spirituality, to me, was a fairy tale, a story people clung to when they couldn't accept the inevitable. Then, one night, everything I knew was challenged. It was a quiet shift in the ICU, the kind where time felt slower, and exhaustion wrapped around my shoulders like a heavy blanket. I had just finished checking on an elderly patient when the emergency alarm rang out. Rushing into the room, I found an unconscious man, his body still, his breathing shallow. His heart had stopped. We fought to bring him back. The crash cart was wheeled in. CPR, defibrillator, a desperate battle against time. After what felt like forever, we got a pulse. Relief filled the room. But when the man opened his eyes, the look on his face froze me in place. He gripped my hand, his weak fingers trembling, and whispered words that sent a chill down my spine. I saw the other side. I wanted to dismiss it. I wanted to believe it was just the drugs, just the lack of oxygen. But his eyes, there was something in them, a knowing, a fear, a certainty that I had never seen before. And in that moment, for the first time in my life, I wasn't so sure anymore. It started with exhaustion, not the usual tiredness from long shifts, but something deeper, heavier. My body felt like it was shutting down. My chest tightened, pain spreading like wildfire. I tried to steady myself, gripping the edge of a counter, but my vision blurred. The last thing I remember was the floor rushing toward me. Then silence. But I was still aware. I opened my eyes, yet I wasn't in my body. I was above it, floating, looking down at myself lying on the cold hospital floor. Nurses rushed in, calling my name, shaking my lifeless form, but I wasn't there. I was here somewhere else. A pull, like an unseen force, guided me away. The hospital faded, swallowed by darkness. Yet I wasn't afraid. I felt weightless, untethered from pain, from time, from everything I once knew. Then, in an instant, the darkness lifted, and I was standing in a place I couldn't describe with human words. Everything shimmered with life. It wasn't just light. It was something more, something alive. The air was thick with peace, the kind that wrapped around my soul. And then he stood before me. I had never believed in him. I had dismissed the stories. But now he was here, more real than anything I had ever known. His presence was light, pure, radiant, but not blinding. His eyes held everything: love, wisdom, understanding. They saw through me, past every doubt, every hardened part of my heart. His voice wasn't just sound. It was understanding itself, speaking to the deepest part of my soul. "You have been called," he said, though I heard it beyond words. "The hours between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m. are not just time. They are a passage. A thin space between heaven and earth." I felt the weight of his words. He spoke of the last watch of the night, of a time when the spiritual realm was most open, when prayers could break chains, when the unseen war raged fiercest. He wasn't just telling me, he was showing me visions of people awake in the dead of night, interceding, fighting battles unseen, praying for souls lost in darkness. The power in those hours was undeniable. Then, he looked at me, and in that moment, I understood. I had spent my life believing only in what I could touch. But the truth was bigger. I had been blind, and now I could see. As I stood in the presence of Jesus, he revealed something I had never considered before: the significance of the hours between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m. "These hours," he said, "are not ordinary. They are a battlefield." I saw a vision: Jacob wrestling with the angel in the dead of night, Genesis 32. It wasn't just a physical struggle. It was a fight for destiny. The same was happening even now. Jesus showed me the role of believers in this time. I saw people awake while the world slept. Some knelt in dimly lit rooms, tears streaming as they prayed for their loved ones. Others, unseen warriors, called on God to stop disasters before they happened. These are my watchmen, Jesus said, those who stand guard in prayer when darkness tries to take hold. I heard a voice whisper 1 Peter 5 verse 8. Be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary the devil walks about like a roaring lion, seeking whom he may devour. The night was not just a time of rest. It was a time of war. Then, I saw testimonies unfold before my eyes. A woman waking at 3 a.m., burdened to pray for her son. That morning, he was in a car accident but walked away unharmed. The man battling addiction, finding strength to resist temptation after a stranger prayed for him at dawn. The mother interceding for her sick child, only to find the fever gone by sunrise. These things do not just happen, Jesus said. They are the result of prayer. I tried to rationalize it. My medical training told me that between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m., the body's cortisol levels were shifting. The circadian rhythm played a role. It was a natural time of wakefulness for some. But Jesus looked at me with knowing eyes. You walk by sight, Alexandra, but the true battle is unseen. 2 Corinthians 5 verse 7 echoed in my spirit, for we walk by faith, not by sight. Science explained the body's patterns, but it couldn't explain the divine call that stirred people awake at these hours. It couldn't explain how warnings came in dreams, how prayers at 3 a.m. prevented tragedies at 3 p.m. This is my way of preparing my people, Jesus said. A call to wake up before it's too late. And in that moment, I knew my life would never be the same again. Jesus had shown me the truth. The hours between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m. were not just another part of the night. They were an invitation, a call to stand in the gap. But knowing the truth wasn't enough. What must I do? I asked. His response came, not just as words, but as understanding filling my heart. This is a time of divine communication, he said. And suddenly, I saw visions of people waking from dreams. Some trembling, others in tears, some writing furiously in journals. Joel 2 verses 28 to 29 came alive before me. In the last days, I will pour out my spirit upon all flesh. Your sons and daughters shall prophesy, your old men shall dream dreams, your young men shall see visions. Dreams weren't just stories the mind created in sleep. They were messages, warnings, directions. You must learn to decode them, Jesus instructed. Write them down. Pay attention to symbols, names, numbers. I saw a man dreaming of fire and awakening to pray, later discovering his friend had been in danger of a tragic accident. This is how I speak, Jesus said, but many ignore it. Prayer is not just speaking. It is listening. I saw people sitting in stillness, eyes closed, hearts open. No rushing, no distractions, just silence, like standing before the edge of eternity. Psalm 46 verse 10 whispered in my spirit, "Be still, and know that I am God." Then, Jesus showed me a simple practice, the 4-minute miracle exercise. 1. Breathe slow, deep breaths, releasing worries. 2. Listen, no words, just openness. 3. Receive, let God fill the silence. 4. Write, capture what He impresses on the heart. This is where I reveal mysteries, Jesus said. But many never pause to listen. I watched as people spoke words in the night, and their words became flames, burning through darkness. Proverbs 18 verse 21 rang in my soul. Death and life are in the power of the tongue. Jesus showed me the midnight battle cry. Believers standing in their homes, speaking scripture, declaring protection, breaking the enemy's plans before they could manifest. They decree my word, he said, and the enemy flees. I saw testimonies unfold. A woman declaring Psalm 91 over her family before a violent attack was supernaturally diverted. A father praying over his son at 4 a.m., later discovering that at the same time, his son had been spared from an overdose. A young girl whispering the name of Jesus in her sleep, and a demonic force retreating from her room. This was not superstition. This was war. Then, Jesus lifted my eyes beyond individual prayers. I saw entire nations shifting. James 5 verse 16 echoed, "The prayer of a righteous person is powerful and effective." Cities once plagued by darkness were covered in light. Government decisions were altered by unseen intercessors. Evil plots were exposed. "This is not about fear," Jesus said. "It is about authority." John 10 verse 10 flashed before me. "The thief comes to steal, kill, and destroy, but I have come that they may have life." Then I saw testimonies across the world. A terrorist attack stopped because a woman had a vision and interceded. A deadly hurricane weakened because believers stood in prayer. A missing child found after a mother, stirred at 3 a.m., cried out to God. "This," Jesus said, "is what happens when my people wake up." And in that moment, I knew I could never sleep the same again. I returned to my body with a gasp. The cold hospital floor beneath me, the worried faces of my colleagues hovering above. It all felt distant, almost unreal. But I knew what I had seen, what I had heard. I was no longer the same person. I had spent my life believing in science alone, dismissing anything beyond the physical as mere imagination. But that night shattered my certainty. I had crossed into a realm I once denied. And now I had a choice, to ignore it or to step into my new calling. I chose to awaken. Since that night, I no longer see waking up at 3 a.m. as a random occurrence. It is a divine summons, a whisper from heaven saying, "Come, watch with me." God is always speaking, but are we listening? I ask you now, have you ever felt a sudden stirring in the night? A nudge to pray? A dream so vivid it lingers in your soul? It is not a coincidence. God is calling his people to stand, to pray, to war in the spirit while the world sleeps. Will you answer the call? If you have ever experienced this, comment "awakened" below. Let others know they are not alone. If you know someone who needs to hear this, share this message with them. And don't miss what comes next. Follow for part 2, the 3 a.m. protection protocol. Because the battle is real, and it has already begun. Thank you for watching this video to the end. If you have been blessed, please kindly like this video and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more testimonies like this. Until next time, remain blessed.